What up, what up? Mully is back with another episode of Diamonds Are Forever. I'll just go ahead and say it here. There will be no uploads at all next weekend because I will be celebrating my birthday. So I won't be back in action until December 17th. Those of you who watched my last channel update, which was kind of an episode of Wise Words, knew this already, though I never stated exactly when. But for those that didn't, I just wanted to give you all a heads up. Anyway, today we have a match against, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Boxes for the loss. But anyway, let's jump right into it. I lead off with Skarmory and Boxes leads with Starmie, and I'm forced to switch out immediately, and I decide to go to Celebi over Cresselia because of the possibility of this being a choice lead with Trick. Crest getting Trick would be devastating. Thunderbolt gets shown, Celebi takes nothing, indicating the Starmie's not Specs. U-turn is my best play here. I'll get to find out if Starmie is Scarf based on whether or not Boxes switches out, and Boxes indeed switches out to reveal Tyranitar. Not surprising, as Startar was a very popular combination in DPP similar to Keldeo and Tyranitar. I decided to go with Dugtrio immediately instead of waiting to see if there's a Heatran, which is questionable, but I think the reasoning was that I didn't want to switch around T-Tar with Skarm and company, trying to figure out the set, and I could potentially not have to deal with rocks the rest of the game. In hindsight though, I think Skarm was the better option, but I lock in an Earthquake. Thankfully no Sugar Berry, I get the KO, Dragonite gets revealed, and my initial switch for any Dragonite is Cresselia because Mixed Dragonite was so popular back then and Crest can take two of them and live. And the Mixed Knight is confirmed. Despite not seeing the whole team yet, I go for Psycho Shift at the risk of a Heatran coming in. My opponent does switch out but reveals a Venusaur instead to take the burn, which isn't too bad. I'm never sad that a defensive tank like Venusaur gets residual damage, though there are better targets. The standard Venusaur can't really touch Cresselia, but I need to get Crest back to full for another round with Dragonite. So I go ahead and rest up here. Leech Seed gets shown, which confirms this is likely the standard OU moveset, or some type of defensive set at the very least. Now here Boxes decides to go ahead and reveal Scizor, expecting me to stay in and go for Sleep Talk, but I wanted to start getting hazards up as soon as possible, so I go back to Skarmory because I'm running the Taunt lead set, which packs Lumberry. So the plan was to take a Sleep Powder, pop the Lumberry, then Taunt, so Venusaur couldn't do it again, then Spike up. But now that Scizor's in, I decided to go for Taunt anyway in case this was a Swords Dance set with fighting coverage. But Boxer switches back to Starmie, expecting the spikes to go down, and here I'm forced to switch out again due to Thunderbolt. But because this Starmie is not Life Orb or Choice Specs, I can go to Spiritomb relatively safely. Ice Beam gets shown, which is no surprise as Boxes was predicting Celebi to come back in again. Leftovers gets revealed on Starmie. So here I went for Rest, predicting Boxes to go for Hydro Pump, but instead Dragonite ends up coming back in. I have to go another round with this Dragonite, as Mixed Knight is a huge threat for a lot of stall teams, including this one. I bring Crest back in to tank the Draco Meteor, but now I'm in a sticky situation because I haven't burned any sleep turns yet, so I'm nowhere close to healing Crest up again, and I also need to get Stealth Rock down to wear out this Dragonite faster. Now because of this, and because I want to scout the rest of the moveset, I go ahead and go to Heatran, and Boxes is indeed carrying the extreme speed. Next, I'm going to go for Protect, expecting the Earthquake or the Superpower. But my opponent instead switches out to reveal the last Pokemon on the team, which is a Vaporeon. This is a bit surprising. It's not uncommon to have double water types on your team in DPP, but I honestly was expecting a Heatran to be more likely. But I decide that I need to get rocks up at all costs, and if this is the standard Wish Vaporeon, I can take a Surf since I'm running especially defensive Heatran. Wish actually ends up being the play though, so I get away with free rocks without taking damage. Seeing Wish set up, I'm fully expecting Boxes to go back to Dragonite, so I go for Roar, but Boxes stays in to throw a Surf at me, and Dragonite gets dragged in off the Roar, which is literally the worst possible outcome for me, because I have nothing to take another Draco Meteor and still have decent health afterwards. Because of this, I decide to just stay in, just to scout a little bit more and go for Protect, and this time Earthquake does get revealed, so I know the last move is either Fire Blast or Roost, and there's no superpower. Because of the possibility of Fire Blast, I didn't want to go to Skarmory just yet, so I go to Spiritomb, kind of as a half measure since neither Fire Blast nor Earthquake is a 2-hit KO, but Boxes just goes for Draco Meteor straight up, which does make sense as Heatran after Protect is probably going to switch out versus a Mixed Knight. So Tomb kind of gets blown up on this one. But now that Dragonite is at -2, I do feel a bit safer going to Skarm, expecting either Earthquake or a possible Roost. Fire Blast would have been bad as it's still a 2-hit KO, but it's unlikely it got thrown out there. So Roost got revealed instead. So it turns out Skarm is also a decent switch into Dragonite, but I decided to go ahead and set up spikes. Now, because of this, knowing boxes will be forced to switch, Starmie ends up coming back in, and I believe here, I had a few things going through my head. Either my opponent would Thunderbolt right now, or Rapid Spin would be the play. Spiritomb can't take 2 hits from Starmie and rest afterwards, so if Boxes wants to spin, I want to make Starmie pay for it with damage. So I just started clicking Brave Bird. Surf was the initial play, and we ended up in the same situation, so I stuck with the plan. Managed to get the OHKO on Starmie, but Boxes did decide to go ahead and go for the spin before that happened. Now Venusaur's going to come back in, and here's where I slipped pretty bad. This should have made it obvious that Venusaur was packing Hidden Power Fire. I stay in here likely trying to go for Taunt, but I get my Skarm knocked out instead. And I don't think I looked at the calcs at all to see who was faster. Otherwise, I know Venusaur outspeeds even the Taunt Skarm set. And I really need to switch to Heatran there. So I bring in Cresselia hoping to burn a turn of sleep, since Venusaur is the only Pokemon I can bring Cress in against. But in reality, Cress is literally a sitting duck. She is only good for death fodder at this point, because even this Leech Seed is devastating, and I need another 2 turns to rest up, which is highly unlikely. So I go back to Celebi, still hoping to get those 2 free turns with Cress, and Boxes goes for Leech Seed again, expecting me to switch out. The plan here is to U-turn to Heatran on the predicted Hidden Power Fire, but my opponent goes back to Scizor. Now, I stick with the plan, since Heatran is the only really good switch I have for Scizor at this point anyway. And I think here I got really spooked about Dragonite coming back in for free, because there's literally no other reason here to go for Rocks over Protect to see what this Scizor will do. But I still had no idea what this set was, as Choice Band wasn't as common as it used to be. But it turns out to be banded after all, and I catch an OHKO from this superpower. I take the chance to bring in Spiritomb on the free switch so I can burn a turn of sleep. My opponent switches out back to Dragonite, and I roll Shadow Ball in the Sleep Talk. Will-O-Wisp may have been better here, but I'll take the damage with the special defense drop at this point. And here I decide to stay in and fodder off Spiritomb. Draco Meteor is going to get dropped, and Boxes does actually get a crit here. But I couldn't bring in Celebi since it gets 2-hit KO by Draco anyway, and Dugtrio was out of the question. It is debatable whether foddering Crest off was better, but I think the difference is so small that it doesn't really matter with both her and Spiritomb being so low. But I go ahead and bring in Dugtrio now on the free switch to get the revenge kill, as Extreme Speed is not an OHKO, barring a crit. And I just go for Aerial Ace here since Dragonite can't come back in, and Extreme Speed is the play from Boxes to get that 85% worth of damage before going down. Scizor gets brought back in, and I thought for sure here that Boxes would just click Pursuit to guarantee the KO. So I stayed in to try to get more damage, but Bullet Punch was the play instead, which I didn't 100% agree on, because I still haven't shown the whole Celebi moveset yet, so I could be packing Hidden Power Fire. But I do reveal my set here, which is actually the Parasong set, and I'm not packing HP Fire. And regardless of it all, it doesn't really matter, because with Dugtrio going down, that was my last real source of damage. Unless Boxes royally screws up and allows Crest to get back to full, there's no way I can actually win. And I end up just dragging the match along another 10 turns when I really didn't have to. And I think I just collapsed toward the end, mishandling the Scizor with Heatran and the Venusaur with Skarmory, as I think I would have won otherwise. I think I handled Dragonite the best way I could given the situation each time, but those small mistakes ended up costing me. But I hope you guys still enjoyed. If you guys like what you saw, hit that like button just below the video. If you didn't like it, then hit the dislike button, but let me know in the comments as to why. And if you don't want to miss the future stuff coming down the pipe, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Links to all the social clubs I hang out at are in the description box below. Twitter, Google+, Twitch, all that good stuff. Anyway, stay tuned for more, and until then, Mulligan signing out. You guys take care. Peace.